the Akufo-Addo government to abandon the idea of superintending the election of metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives on partisan lines. The group, which has renewed the push for the election of MMDCEs, argue that the current administrative structure at the local assembly is fraught with significant challenges, which is impacting negatively on the developmental growth at the local level, insisting the election of the CEOs for the assembly would largely address the challenges. President Akufo-Addo in 2019 truncated the processes for the election of local authorities, citing a lack of consensus. But a member of the CSOs coalition, Kofi Bentel, addressing the media, observed that government must first prioritize the election of MMDCEs before introducing the election on partisan lines.
All right, so let us get this clear. There is overwhelming support for this. At the point where we were going to effect those things, the current government introduced a second phase. That phase is not necessary for the local government reforms. It is additional. And that second phase is to have it done on a partisan basis. So let me explain. We can today ask our parliamentarians to amend the constitution and we will elect DCEs from tomorrow. That is what the overwhelming number of Ghanaians want. Both NDC and MPP want. We have not heard any dissent to that, and that can be done. At a point where we're going to do it, at tertiary level, a different phase, another, ultimate goal was added to it, which is to say, let's do it on a partisan basis. Why I'm stressing this point is this. It is not necessary to have partisan elections for us to have local government elections. So it is not exactly accurate to say there was a breakdown in consensus. The breakdown was that it was not necessary. Let us not complicate it. Now, sometimes we elevate a footnote and make it the keynote. That small footnote of whether to make it partisan or not, became the keynote. And on that basis, the whole thing was scuttled. We are back here today to emphasize the substantive point, which we all agree on. And that is that we must have local government reforms to the effect of electing local government officials, DCEs, MCEs, and the like. And that much as we will desire, or some of us will desire, that it be done on a partisan basis, we think that we should first have the elections done, have people into office chosen by the people, and then later on, if we want to, we can add the icing on the cake, which is to make it partisan or not.
The coalition has today begun a nationwide stakeholders engagement to rally support for the election as part of moves to power pressure on President Akufo-Addo to reinitiate processes for the election. Dr. Kojo Asante of the CDD has been speaking to my colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
There are many issues, and the verdict on local government is really, really bad. It's not functional. So whatever we are going to do, there has to be complementary reforms. And I think that will probably help us better in deciding that we want non-partisan or partisan. I mean, so, as some of my colleagues have said, just the election alone is sufficient to make a change. At least even with this appointment process, we will get people that the citizens will feel that they put them there. And they know that they can always, in 4 years' time, they have to go and seek their mandate. So already it established an accountability relationship, like with MPs. And we know that that works. But it is not necessarily a guarantee that you are going to have local development or local democracy. So that's why we are saying, yes, election is important, but it's not sufficient. And let's see how we can add to it.
In all of this, the president is very central and very key in this matter. Have you officially petitioned him? Have you spoken to him about the new process?
No, I think the process as we understand it is that if the consensus is going to build, it's not just political actors having a consensus. So it's not even just MPP and NDC having a consensus. It's what even chiefs, what they think, what is their role, how are they going to, because if they feel threatened that this process is going to marginalize them or exclude them from local development, then they might not even support it. What about local assembly members? What about the political parties at local government level? So this is the kind of work that we government would have done. But we see that, okay, there are some divergent views, at least on the party side. If civil society can come together and take up this responsibility and bring these actors and parties together, when we have the collective voice and we present it to government, it should persuade and be persuasive for us to move forward. So that is the job that we want to be doing from the next 3 weeks, and we'll go into the next year as well. And we are working with the ministry, to also let them know what citizens are thinking, what different groups are thinking, so that if they have to submit a memo to Parliament, to Cabinet, for a roadmap, that at least they will be informed by what is on the ground.